Hi there to all Beatles fans around the world. Today I'm gonna show you the top 10 Beatles songs of all time. Relax and enjoy the show. Number 10. While My Guitar Gently Weeps. Written by George Harrison. Recorded on September 5th and 6th, 1968. Released on November 25th, 1968. The lyrics for While My Guitar Gently Weeps, George Harrison's first truly great Beatles song, began as an accident, but a deliberate one. Harrison composed most of the music during the Beatles' February to April 1968 trip to Rishikesh, India, but wrote its words after the band returned to England. Inspired by the relativism principle of the I Ching, Harrison pulled a book off a shelf in his parents' house, opened it to an arbitrary page and wrote a lyric around the first words he saw, which turned out to be the phrase "gently weeps." Its source might have been Coates Kinney's much anthologized 1849 poem Rain on the Roof, which includes the lines "in the melancholy darkness / gently weeps and rainy tears." Number 9. A Day in the Life. Written by Lennon and McCartney. Recorded on 19-20 January and 3-10 and February 22, 1967. Released on May 26, 1967. The ultimate Lennon and McCartney collaboration, A Day in the Life wasn't recognized as the band's masterwork until the 80s, after Lennon's death. It pairs lyrics inspired by the newspapers and Lennon's own life with McCartney's idea to have classical musicians perform what producer George Martin called an orchestral orgasm. Paul McCartney explained this song's origin story. A Day in the Life was a song that John had started. He had the first verse, and this often happened. One of us would have a little bit of an idea and instead of sitting down and sweating it, we'd just bring it to the other one and kind of finish it together, because you could ping pong, you'd get an idea. So he had the first verse, "I read the news today oh boy," and we sat in my music room in London and just started playing around with it, got a second verse, and then we got to what was going to lead into the middle. We kind of looked at each other and knew we were being a little bit edgy where "I'd love to turn you on." We knew that would have an effect. And then we put on another section "I had woke up, fell out of bed, dragged a comb across my head." Then we finished the song up and did a big sort of epic recording of it with a big full orchestra and everything. And then did that crescendo thing in the middle of it with the orchestra, which was an idea I'd had because I'd been talking to people and reading about avant-garde music, tonal stuff and crazy ideas. I came up with this idea. I said to the orchestra, "You should start, all of you." And they sat all looking at me puzzled. We've got a real symphony orchestra in London who are used to playing Beethoven, and here's me, this crazy guy out of a group, and I'm saying, "Everyone start on the lowest note your instrument can play and work your way up to the highest at your own pace." That was too puzzling for them, and orchestras don't like that kind of thing. They like it written down and they like to know exactly what they're supposed to do. So George Martin, the producer, said to the people, "You should leave this note and this point in the song, and then you should go to this note and this note," and he left the random thing, so that's why it sounds like a chaotic sort of swirl. That was an idea based on the avant-garde stuff I was into at the time. Number 8. I Wanna Hold Your Hand. Written by Lennon and McCartney. Recorded on October 17, 1963. Released on November 29, 1963, UK, December 26, 1963, US. This was the first Beatles song to catch on in America. In 1963, the Beatles became stars in England, but couldn't break through in the US. They couldn't get a major label to distribute their singles in America, so their first 3 singles there, Please Please Me, From Me to You and She Loves You, were issued on small labels and flopped, even though they were hits in England. Late in 1963, American news outlets started reporting on this British sensation, and interest in the group started to rise. Capitol Records took notice and released I Wanna Hold Your Hand stateside on December 26. The song rose up the chart, and on February 1, 1964, hit number 1. It sold better in the first 10 days of release in the US than any other British single, and remains the best-selling Beatles single in the United States, moving over 12 million copies. The Beatles celebrated madly when they found out they were number 1 in America. They came to America for the first time on February 7, 1964, greeted at the airport by screaming fans. I Wanna Hold Your Hand was the number 1 song in the country at that time, and it stayed on top for 7 weeks. Number 7. Strawberry Fields Forever. Written by Lennon and McCartney, recorded on November to December 1966, released on February 13, 1967, US February 17, 1967, UK. Lennon, from his 1980 interview with Playboy magazine, Strawberry Fields is a real place. After I stopped living at Penny Lane, I moved in with my auntie who lived in the suburbs in a nice semi-detached place with a small garden and doctors and lawyers and that ilk living around. Not the poor slummy kind of image that was projected in all the Beatles stories. In the class system, it was about half a class higher than Paul, George, and Ringo, who lived in government-subsidized housing. We owned our house and had a garden. They didn't have anything like that. Near that home was Strawberry Fields, a house near a boys' reformatory where I used to go to garden parties as a kid with my friends Nigel and Pete. We would go there and hang out and sell lemonade bottles for a penny. We always had fun at Strawberry Fields. So that's where I got the name. But I used it as an image. Strawberry Fields forever. Some of the lyrics reflect being misunderstood. Lennon added, the second line goes, "No one I think is in my tree." Well, what I was trying to say in that line is, nobody seems to be as hip as me, therefore I must be crazy or a genius. Lennon wrote this while he was in Spain working on a movie called How I Won the War. The house where he stayed was in Almeria, which is in the southeast corner of the country. A distorted voice at the end sounds like "I buried Paul," which fueled rumors that Paul McCartney was dead. The voice is actually Lennon saying, "Cranberry sauce." Over the end credits of The Simpsons episode Doin' in the Wind, you can hear Homer saying "I buried Flanders" in reference to this. Number 6. Yesterday. Written by Lennon and McCartney. Recorded on 14 June 17, 1965. Released on August 6, 1965, UK. Help! Album September 13, 1965, US single. The most covered song in history began as something called Scrambled Eggs. It also began in a dream of Paul McCartney's. Yesterday is a song by the English band The Beatles, written by Paul McCartney and credited to Lennon McCartney. It was first released on the album Help! In August 1965, except in the United States, where it was issued as a single in September. The song reached number 1 on the US charts. It subsequently appeared on the UK EP Yesterday in March 1966 and made its US album debut on Yesterday and Today, in June 1966. McCartney's vocal and acoustic guitar, together with a string quartet, essentially made for the first solo performance of the band. It remains popular today and, with more than 2,200 cover versions, is one of the most covered songs in the history of recorded music. Yesterday was voted the best song of the 20th century in a 1999 BBC Radio 2 poll of music experts and listeners and was also voted the number 1 pop song of all time by MTV and Rolling Stone magazine the following year. In 1997, the song was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. Broadcast Music Incorporated, BMI, asserts that it was performed over 7 million times in the 20th century. Before we proceed to the next video, please hit the like button, hit subscribe and notification bell for more videos and leave a comment. Number 5. In My Life. Written by Lennon and McCartney. Recorded on 18 and October 22, 1965. Released on December 3, 1965. In My Life is a song by the English rock band The Beatles from their 1965 album Rubber Soul. It was written primarily by John Lennon, credited to Lennon and McCartney, who later disagreed over the extent of their respective contributions to the song. Lennon credited the harmony and bridge to McCartney, while McCartney claimed the entire musical structure. George Martin contributed the piano solo bridge, which was sped up to sound like a harpsichord. In My Life, featuring Lennon's most personal lyrics up until that time, is one of only a handful of Lennon and McCartney songs where the two strongly disagreed over who wrote what. According to Lennon, In My Life was his first real major piece of work because it was the first time he penned personal lyrics about his own life. The original version of the lyrics was based on a bus route he used to take in Liverpool, naming various sights seen along the way, including Penny Lane and Strawberry Field. Lennon discarded this lyrical idea in favor of a more generalized meditation on his past. He and McCartney later revisited those original references with their respective songs Strawberry Fields Forever and Penny Lane. Number 4. Something. Written by George Harrison. Recorded on 2nd of May, 5 May, 16th of July, August 15, 1969. Released on October 6, 1969. Something is a song by the English rock band The Beatles from their 1969 album Abbey Road. It was written by George Harrison, the band's lead guitarist. Together with his second contribution to Abbey Road, Here Comes the Sun, it is widely viewed by music historians as having marked Harrison's ascendancy as a composer to the level of the Beatles' principal songwriters, John Lennon and Paul McCartney. 2 weeks after the album's release, the song was issued on a double A-side single, coupled with Come Together, making it the first Harrison composition to become a Beatles A-side. The track is generally considered a love song to Pattie Boyd, Harrison's first wife, although Harrison offered alternative sources of inspiration in later interviews. Before it became the second most covered Beatles song behind Yesterday, Lennon said this unexpected Harrison track was the best track on Abbey Road and McCartney called it the best song Harrison has written. Number 3. Hey Jude. Written by Lennon and McCartney. Recorded on 31st of July and August 1, 1968. Released on August 26, 1968. It was written by Paul McCartney and credited to the Lennon and McCartney partnership. The single was the Beatles' first release on their Apple record label and one of the first 4 singles by Apple's roster of artists, marking the label's public launch. Hey Jude was a #1 hit in many countries around the world. The writing and recording of Hey Jude coincided with a period of upheaval in the Beatles. The ballad evolved from Hey Jules, a song McCartney wrote to comfort John Lennon's son, Julian, after Lennon had left his wife for the Japanese artist Yoko Ono. The lyrics espouse a positive outlook on a sad situation, while also encouraging Jude to pursue his opportunities to find love. After the 4th verse, the song shifts to a coda featuring a na-na-na-na refrain that lasts for over 4 minutes. At over 7 minutes in length, Hey Jude was the longest single to top the British charts up to that time. Its arrangement and extended coda encouraged many imitative works through to the early 1970s. Number 2. Let It Be. Written by Lennon and McCartney. Recorded on January 31, 1969, April 30, 1969 and January 4, 1970. Released on March 6, 1970. Paul McCartney wrote this song. It was inspired by his mother, Mary, who died when he was 14. Many people thought Mother Mary was a biblical reference when they heard it. Let It Be is a song by the Beatles, released on March 6, 1970 as a single, and in an alternative mix as the title track of their album Let It Be. It was written and sung by Paul McCartney, and credited to the Lennon and McCartney partnership. The single version of the song, produced by George Martin, features a softer guitar solo and the orchestral section mixed low, compared to the album version, produced by Phil Spector, featuring a more aggressive guitar solo and the orchestral sections mixed higher. According to McCartney, this is a very positive song, owing to its inspiration. One night when he was paranoid and anxious, he had a dream where he saw his mother, who had been dead for 10 years or so. She came to him in his time of trouble, speaking words of wisdom that brought him much peace when he needed it. It was this sweet dream that got him to begin writing the song. Number 1. Come Together. Written by Lennon and McCartney. Recorded on 21 to July 30, 1969. Released on October 6, 1969. Come Together is a song by the English rock band The Beatles, written by John Lennon and credited to Lennon and McCartney. The song is the opening track on their 1969 album Abbey Road and was also released as a single coupled with Something. The song reached the top of the charts in the United States and peaked at number 4 in the United Kingdom. Although credited to the Lennon and McCartney partnership, Come Together was mainly written by John Lennon. It was inspired by a request from Timothy Leary to write a song for his campaign for governor of California against Ronald Reagan, which promptly ended when Leary was sent to prison for possession of marijuana, Lennon recalled. If you like my video, please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell for more.